All right. Hello, everyone. So today I actually have a different video for all of you guys. This is actually going to be a panel of incoming freshman students, students who just recently graduated and are going to be going into a specific university later in this upcoming fall. I mean, for those that can attend an in-person university. But regardless, they're all here to talk about their college application process and pretty much their stories in high school. So I think this is a great chance for you guys to listen in and hear from different students about how they've approached this specific part of their lives and just the lessons that they take in this. So first and foremost, I'm gonna have all of them actually introduce themselves. They're gonna give their name, their majors, any possible minors, specifically their pre-professional tracks, and at the same time, the school that they will be attending. So starting off with Nick, can you go ahead and get started?
Hi, my name is Nicholas Huang, and I will be attending Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, hopefully in the fall. So my major as of this moment, I'm not entirely sure my major, but it's most likely going to be sociology and environmental science with a possible minor in statistics.
All right, perfect. And then I believe one of them accidentally got kicked off the call real fast, so he's gonna come back in right now. So Abby, can you go ahead and give your introduction?
Yeah. My name is Abby, and I'm attending the University of Chicago in the fall. I'm planning to major on cancer biology and biological sciences, but it's still kind of up in the air and probably pre-med at the moment, but that's also subject to change.
All right, awesome. Next we have Rukan.
Hi, I'm Rukan. I'm going to be at Johns Hopkins in Maryland, and I'm planning to double major in public health and international studies. After undergrad, I'm thinking about either getting my master's or my PhD.
All right, perfect. And last but not least, we have David. When Riley gets back, I'll have him introduce himself. Hopefully, he'll make it back. But yeah, David, go ahead.
What's up, guys? I'm David. I'm going to be attending UCLA in the fall. I'm studying right now microbiology, immunology, and molecular genetics. I'm on the pre-med track for now, possibly pursuing minors in entrepreneurship and digital humanities.
All right, awesome. So as you can see, the pool I have of students here is pretty diverse, both attending public universities, private universities, both in their hometown state of California or going to possibly go out of state to a different institution. So in hoping of doing this, you guys will see a lot of different perspectives for what they're going into and actually what what's their decision into going to this respective school. And actually, since I have Riley booting up back in right now, let's see if we can go ahead and get him introduced. Let's see if Riley is alive.
Hi.
Riley, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Is your camera working? Okay. Riley, can you hear us all? All right, perfect. There we go.
Yes.
Okay. So anyways, Riley, whenever you're ready, go ahead and just give your introduction as well, your name, major, the school you're attending, and then, just a brief description about yourself.
Okay. Hello, my name is Riley Chu. I'll be attending Vanderbilt University, and I'll be studying chemistry, possibly minoring in sociology. Arcadia High School, and I'd like to play volleyball and basketball.
All right, awesome. This video is a little laggy, but we will deal with that when the time comes. Anyway, so
wait, let me switch my phone real quick. I'll switch my phone.
All right, so I guess he'll be leaving us and then coming back in a little bit. Anyways, in the meantime, I will have the rest of us continue on with the other questions. So first and foremost, specifically referring to your majors, if you could repeat the major that you mentioned earlier, and then just briefly explain why you decided to choose that major, or for those of you who are still deciding, why specifically that general field, whether it's humanities or science. So Nick, go ahead and go first on that one.
Okay, so this is a great question because part of the reason why I chose the school that I did is because I am almost completely unsure of my major, and that's why I'm going to a liberal arts college, which is going to give me a little more freedom, a little more support for me to try and find out what I want to study. So at the moment, I have a double major in sociology and environmental science. I chose sociology because it's fascinating to me, the interactions between peoples and like cultures and different types of people all around the world, and try and solve like problems such as racism, which is, super huge problems that I feel that we should really examine more. And for my second major is environmental science. In my junior year, I took AP Environmental Science, and I thought that was a really interesting course, but more so the main thing that I got out of it was that I could try and dedicate my efforts to a bigger cause, such as environmentalism, which I may possibly be taking into a pre-law track, because environmental law is somewhere where I can see myself being a lawyer that fights for good rather than corporate law. Or, well, there's like the way that I see the world of law is that there are lawyers, but oftentimes they're sometimes fighting for the wrong causes. That's what worries me sometimes. So if I were to pursue a pre-law track, I want to be sure that I'm trying to help people and I'm trying to do greater good, not just for my own personal financial gain. And a possible minor I'm looking into right now is statistics, because that's just for pure interest. I think data is interesting and it can be really useful in solving problems.
All right, awesome. And glad to have you back, Riley, in one shape this time. All right, perfect. Abby, can I have you go ahead and talk about your major and why you chose it?
Yeah, so my major is cancer biology and biological sciences. And I chose that major because when I took AP Bio, I was just really interested in the subject and I was really inspired by the teacher I had. And then also, I did an internship over the summer at the City of Hope that got me really interested in cancer biology specifically. And then I continued doing research during my senior year, which definitely got me interested in biology even more. So that was kind of what I was thinking. But like Nick, I'm also going to a school where I don't have to declare my major until my sophomore year. And that was definitely like something that made me want to go there, because I'm still figuring it out kind of, and I definitely open to other things. So that kind of made me want to go there.
All right, awesome. Rukan, can you go ahead and talk about your major now?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo Nick and Abby by saying that's also, or the lack of not having to. Sorry, that was not.
Okay, that's the only good key. Okay, that didn't break you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, the reason I chose Johns Hopkins was because I didn't have to declare my major, and there are basically no gen ed requirements, so I could go right into whatever I wanted to study, or if I still needed time to figure things out, I could do that too. I've always been really interested in the humanities, which is why I'm really interested in international studies, and at Hopkins, international studies is basically international relations or international affairs. It's the same thing. And with my extracurricular work in the past, I've become really interested in public health, because public health is kind of like the humanities of the sciences, which is like how I like to think of it. Mm-hmm. Specifically like in nutrition and in education, I feel like the field is so diverse and it's so open to possibility, which is why I want to explore them further.
All right, awesome. And then, Riley's really giving us a blooper highlight reel here, so I'll pass him for a second. David, go ahead and talk about your major and why you chose that one.
Okay, for sure. My major is microbiology, immunology, and molecular genetics for now. But why I wanted to go into this major was, like Abby, I also had a really great AP Bio teacher, and I thought that the human body was super interesting, like it could fix itself, and I wanted to learn more about it, with kind of hope of becoming a doctor in the future and helping other people. But as of recently, I've kind of gotten into like the tech kind of business world. So that's why I'm pursuing minors in entrepreneurship and digital humanities. And I'm thinking of changing my major to business econ. But that's just where I am right now. So I'm kind of like still unsure.
All right, awesome. I will probably get back to Riley when we're talking about the next question, considering that he's having a technological crisis right now. In the meantime, though, I will move on to the next question. So my next question is going to be, why did you decide to go into your specific university? And for those of you attending a public school, you can also briefly mention why you chose a public institution over a private institution. For those, going out of state or in state, you can also briefly touch up on that. But I guess, just specifically for all of you guys, why that specific school. And Nick, you can go ahead and start off with that.
Okay, so ever since the start of my college search studies process, I was really looking into liberal arts schools, because liberal arts schools, well, first off, liberal arts schools are generally more strong in the humanities, and I'm more of a humanities focused person. So that was the first thing that drew me toward liberal arts schools. But the second thing was also that I had, yeah, like I said before, I had a lot of freedom to, explore my major, and like these majors that I just mentioned before, these things I'm interested in right now, they could totally change in the next year or 2 years. So that's the thing that I really liked about going to a liberal arts college. And another thing is that the costs specifically for liberal arts schools, you guys may be surprised at how good the financial aid is, because I did also apply to big public universities, and my financial aid package for liberal arts colleges were far better than the UC school. So that was something really surprising, because I always thought that I would end up just going to UC, which is still really good, but the financials worked out for me in the end for liberal arts school, and that was a really, really strong factor in me choosing to go to Bowdoin College, which is one of the liberal arts schools that I got into.
All right, awesome. Abby, yeah, go ahead and just explain, why University of Chicago.
Kind of similar. I also was really interested in liberal arts schools where I could have some freedom to like kind of discover what I want to do. Research was pretty important to me. Also, I was really interested in getting out of California. Not that I don't love California, but I just kind of wanted to experience something different. And I also really wanted to be in a big city, so Chicago seemed like the perfect chance. I also applied to like a lot of other schools that were on the East Coast, and most of the I didn't really get into a lot of them, and so U Chicago just was like the kind of the best school that I got into that I really wanted to go to. So that was kind of like how I eventually made the decision.
All right, awesome. Rukan, go ahead. So why John Hopkins?
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to the East Coast. I've never wanted to stay in California. Nothing against California, like Abby, but it's just the East Coast was calling my name. I don't know. Johns Hopkins has some really remarkable departments, and the fields I want to go into, public health and international studies, they have really great programs at Hopkins, and it just seemed like the most sensible choice. Also, the versatility of the location of where Maryland is, it's literally 40 minutes away from DC. So if I want to go on the pre-law track like Nick, I can. And I don't really see myself being pre-med at all, but if I wanted to, Johns Hopkins does have a really great pre-med program. So just seemed like the right fit.
All right, that's awesome. Yeah, for sure. Being versatile in college, I think, is an important trait to look into. All right, Riley, are you
Hello,
functionally
I'm back.
well?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
We're
All
just-
good, all good. It's all right. You're providing us the blooper reel. I'm not cutting it out though. So,
Okay.
anyways, so I'm gonna be asking you pretty much a huge loaded question, I guess, since you missed out on the
That's
last one.
fine. Yeah, yeah.
But, 2 parts.
Rapid fire.
So first part is first off, can you explain why you chose to go into chemistry and thinking about sociology, and why specifically that major?
I guess the main reason why I chose chemistry was because I'm pretty sure Abby said this too, and David. Well, like I had a really good chemistry teacher, and I never really studied chemistry before until a junior year of high school, and like I feel like I had a completely different reaction to it than I had with bio, because I was kind of I was thinking about majoring in bio for a while, but I guess after I started studying chemistry, and I kind of just fell in love with all that chemistry had to offer, and all the possibilities that there were. I don't have to be just strictly pre-med. I can be I can do a lot of things with chemistry. I can work in the lab. I can also work within pharmaceuticals as well. And I just feel like chemistry kind of brings a good foundation for a good STEM and sciencey background.
All right, awesome. And then the next question that we've been asking people is why you decided to choose Vanderbilt to attend in the future. And if you can explain, because I know specifically for you, you had a whole actual process with it where you were flip-flopping among schools. I know you didn't choose to go to USC, but can you just go ahead and explain, what?
Riley.
Yeah.
Well, first off, USC is kind of trash. I'm kidding. But no shade to USC. in my heart, I really love LA, and I'm not trying to throw shade at California like Rukan or Abby did, but I just feel like the financial package that they offered me wasn't as appealing as the other schools that I got into. And I also chose Vanderbilt because it's in the South, and it'll kind of just challenge me to get out of my comfort zone, because I've been living in this like 626 Asian bubble for my entire life, and I just kind of want to expand my perspective on life and just like surround myself with people of like different backgrounds and just different interests as well.
All right. Obviously no harsh feelings, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's go over David now, which ironically probably I should be the one targeting him more since he's going to my rival school. But so why UCLA?
Okay, for me, UCLA was just the best option to balance academics and student life. I know that Berkeley is like kind of like the top public school, but I felt like if I had gone to Berkeley, like the weather isn't as nice, and just the surrounding environment and the vibe I get from the school is just a little too academic focused for me. And if I wanted to pursue like maybe a career in entertainment or maybe something like that, LA is like definitely the place to be. And I just thought it's like a familiar environment for me to kind of like see what I like and like chase passions. So that's why I chose UCLA.
All right, awesome. And I think just for anyone watching this, as you notice, like every person here has a different idea. Some of them would like to get out of their comfort zone, like Riley mentioned, going to Vanderbilt, and then you have like David just mentioning that having that idea of being comfortable or familiar with your surrounding environment is definitely something important. And I think that's very important because there's a lot of factors playing into what how you choose your college. It's tuition, maybe how good is it for your major, but also the holistic overview. What are the opportunities it provides for you? Can you grow both academically and as a person? So I think those were really great ideas and concepts you guys talked about. Perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about probably the most brutal part of your senior year, if not dealing with the current COVID situation, college applications. So I guess first off, if you were all just to briefly summarize it in, let's say, 5 sentences or less, how do you feel about the college application process? So Nick, go ahead.
It was easy for me to figure things out, to set things up and register accounts and that type of stuff. That was all easy, filling out information. Writing the essays was a bit difficult because coming from my community, a lot of people here were all very lucky to live here. This is a very safe, people here have lived pretty decently safe and happy lives. So it was hard to create because I feel like a lot of essays these days, they're all, if they create some sort of narrative that is like really exciting or I don't know how to describe it, but like really out there and unique and that type of thing. And I feel like in Arcadia, we kind of we had a pretty just it was a pretty happy lifestyle here, so it was hard for me to really
sheltered.
Sheltered, yeah, exactly.
I was thinking sheltered, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really sheltered experience. So it was difficult for me to come up with a story that seemed really unique and seemed to like grab attention. Like it was hard to write a story that seemed worth it compared to so many other amazing applicants that came from impoverished communities or that type of thing. So that was one of my most difficult parts of the college application process. But once I actually had an idea of how I wanted to portray myself and write a decently good story about who I was, even though I lived in a very sheltered area, I think I got more or less the hang of it. So it's really just a lot of the brainstorming was the difficult part for me. But after you get the main ideas down, it's okay.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Definitely that's a good thing to mention about the essays, figuring out what to write about them. And we'll definitely touch up on that in a couple minutes. But Abby, I guess, your personal summary, try not to be as essay long as Nick, but if you could summarize, your college application experience, what would that be?
Mm-hmm. I personally thought it was really brutal. I applied to a lot of schools and definitely involved a lot of soul searching and self-reflection that I didn't really expect. And also it definitely tests your relationships with the people around you, like your friends and your family. So that was also something I really didn't expect. But overall, like I felt like I came out at the end like more knowing myself more, and also feeling pretty proud of like the stuff that I accomplished through the college application process. So it's a tough journey, but it's rewarding at the end.
All right, awesome. And Rukan, go ahead and give your summary of it.
Yeah. So I had a really hard time completing my college applications because my first semester was a little crazy because of like extracurriculars and stuff. Like I was not in school for so much of first semester. So I remember like on January 1st, which was when a lot of applications were due, I came home after like the Rose Parade stuff, and I was like furiously typing because I just didn't have the time to do anything. But yeah, I'm gonna echo Abby again and say that it was pretty brutal, but it all works out in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, just to put into perspective, just for people who don't realize, Rukan was one of the tournament princes for the Tournament of Roses in Pasadena. So, obviously, kudos to you for that. But yeah, it's a busy lifestyle. I think definitely mentioning that people do have to balance other aspects. So I think that was a nice thing for you to mention. All right, Riley, go ahead. What was your summary about the college application process?
I feel like besides like figuring out what to write, I also feel like editing what you wrote was also pretty difficult because you do have to fit within a certain word limit. And I feel like I just feel like the application process was pretty brutal for a lot of people because a lot of these colleges are asking us to tell them who we are when a lot of us don't really know like who we are as people, or like we don't definitively know what our identity really is, and we're still looking for that. So I just feel like it definitely takes a lot of soul searching and a lot of faking it until you make it type of attitude.
All right, awesome. And then David, if you can go ahead and just finish up this part with your summary of the experience.
For sure. The college application process for me was low-key kind of fun because you don't really in your regular lifestyle when you're in school, you're writing essays about, oh, what do I think about this story? What do I think about this? But you don't really get the time to look within yourself and try to find like, oh, what do I really like? But I think I'm pretty lucky as in my parents didn't give me a lot of pressure to get into like the best schools and things like that. So I really wrote about things that I enjoyed, and I had the mentality that if I wrote my personality into essays and sent it to colleges, and if I didn't get in, then that's not the person they're looking for. And if I were to get in, then that wouldn't have been the right place for me anyway. So that was just my mentality. Yeah.
All right, awesome. And yeah, obviously, some of you guys might be kind of like David, who actually like the college application process. There's very few, but it does happen now and then. But one thing David mentioned that I think is reflected among everyone here is that you start to learn a lot more about yourself. Definitely having that time to reflect on who you are as a person, especially since you have to convey those things into words. And pretty much half of you guys mentioned, it is a brutal process. Undeniably, there's so much to do, and you're not only just working on these college applications and writing essays and editing them, but you're managing, your school life, you're managing your extracurriculars, personal matters as well too. So yeah, it's just something to keep, aware of, and then also being sure that you guys balance everything out. So thank you guys for those opinions. So I guess let's go a little bit more specific on some aspects of the college application process. So I guess first and foremost, what was your main source of getting information or knowledge about the process? So I guess in saying this, did you find your best information from parents, from upperclassmen, siblings, maybe your school provided resources, the internet? What was your main way of finding information about the process? And how did you utilize that? So Nick, you can go ahead first with that one.
Okay. I think main process was, I'd say it's about 90% online research and just looking at their websites, looking at their student experiences, and about 10% actual personal connections. So for example, in I was in the class, the speech team that had a wide variety of ages in it. So when I was younger or in previous grades, I would know people who were older than me and who would go to colleges, and I didn't know them at that time, but they would explain like, oh, I'm going here, da, da, da. And I would be like, okay, that's cool, and I would research it. So for example, I first learned about Bowdoin College because a class of 2018 Arcadia High alum went to that school. So that's one of the main things, and that sparked, oh, this is a cool school, I'll research it. And that's basically how I learned everything.
All right, awesome. Abby, I guess your turn.
Yeah, sorry, my baby cousin is like crying in
Ah.
the background.
It's all good.
I go to a small private school, which is, so everyone else here goes to like a big public school, but I go to a different school. And part of going to that school is that they provide a lot of college counseling resources. So I was really lucky to have that. And a lot of that involved having like schools, like admissions reps come to our school and do like small campus visits and stuff like that. So I got to learn about a lot of schools by just like going to those things. I also went to ones that weren't affiliated to my school. So I attended like other visits that schools were having for the Southern California area. And then, yeah, but basically I got a lot of help from my college counseling. And then also here, like Nick said, hearing from alumni of my school as well.
All right, awesome. And I guess Rukan, go ahead and share what you've taken from this.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm an only child, so I don't have any siblings I can really ask, and my parents are immigrants, so they don't really know much about the college process. But the good thing about going to Arcadia High School is how many people attend. So a lot like Nick, I got a lot of information from upperclassmen who kind of took me under their wing and told me about the colleges they were going to. And yeah, again, like Nick, I did a lot of researching on my own after they told me about that. So I have a really great friend at UCLA, and he told me a lot about the school and the program. So I got there he is. Dave is pointing at his UCLA shirt. But yeah, I'm really thankful for the upperclassmen that Arcadia has given me.
All right, awesome. Riley, I guess your experience with it.
Just echoing off like what the other people said, I would also say that I talked to a lot of people I knew that already attended college, but aside from like the college website itself, which you can use to write why statement questions on the application, I would also recommend using Reddit, because there are actually a lot of alumni on these Reddit pages that post specific like quirks about the school that you would never know from the school website, and you just get a bunch of stories and anecdotes that are more realistic to what the college experience is like at the colleges you're applying to.
All right, awesome. And David, go ahead and summarize, I guess, this for us as well too.
Sure. Like everyone knows, I had some upperclassmen friends that I talked to, and they gave me a lot of insight about like what their college is like and how their experience was going to that campus. But I'm a pretty spontaneous guy, so I didn't really get much information until like the deadline came up pretty fast. So I kind of relied a lot on my more productive friends, and they were like, oh, they were freaking out about something, and then I also in turn then freaked out about it as well. So I think just going with the flow, I don't know if that's the way to go, but do your research. Like Riley said, Reddit's a good place to be. And yeah, they have a lot of, if you're unsure what to write about in your essay, they have some successful ones, some like what not to do, some what to do. And I think that's pretty helpful.
All right, yeah, awesome.
You should go on reddit.com/r/applying to college. That's like the best site. And you can also go on there's school specific Reddit pages. And yeah, you can just find out a lot from that.
Yeah, and the thing is with Reddit is that it's true. For example, for USC, we have our own Reddit page, and I actually do go on it because, Reddit, sometimes you have those weird posts every now and then, but sometimes it can actually be pretty insightful. Yeah. And these are genuine, honest responses because they're coming behind like an anonymous person that doesn't really show themselves on screen. You actually do get a more genuine response. And yeah, I guess, just recapping what all of you guys said, I really like how a lot of you guys, while you do have similarities, you guys touch upon differences. So For like some of us, we've had like college counselors or great services provided by our own school that allow us to do so. But whereas some of us were utilizing, upperclassmen and the internet, in fact, to do those resources. And, the main reason I obviously pose this question is because I think all of us here in this call were fortunate enough to be in a community that was pretty well off and had pretty good resources and a good academic structure. Whereas, students outside of maybe our area don't have that same opportunity as us. They're not as privileged to have such great resources as well. And, I would say that it's also been reiterated in a lot of videos I've been talking with other people that it's not really more of a lack of resources. It's more of a lack of resourcefulness. Like if you only have the internet or if you only have upperclassmen, you might as well take advantage of that. You can still get so much information using those specific areas. And you don't always need, a private college counselor. You don't always need to have college representatives coming to your specific school, especially if it's not a super well-known one. But yeah, so I think it's really great that all of you guys were mentioning that there are so many different ways to approach the researching process. So I guess another question I have for the college application process is one thing that's huge is the idea of competition. You're competing with other students for a spot in their university. And there's a reason why some schools are more selective than others. You can see by just acceptance rates that we see online. Typically, Ivy Leagues will have lower acceptance rates compared to maybe public institutions or other private institutions. So I guess if you guys could touch up on, did you ever feel pressured by your community in terms of, how you're approaching this process, whether it be through the competition, whether it be through thinking that you weren't better than someone else, or anything, regarding the entire, the iota of this, competition aspect. So Nick, if you want to go ahead and get started with that.
Yeah, this is a really good question because Arcadia, or our school specifically, it's highly competitive. I think there's a very driven culture of work and eyes on the horizon future. So throughout high school, the earlier years of high school, I did feel really insecure for many, many years, only until maybe the last couple years I felt much better about myself and who I was. So that's important. I think you'll eventually understand that your self-worth is not your academics or your grades or anything like that. In terms of when the actual college application process started, for me specifically, since I was applying to a lot of liberal arts schools on the East Coast, there wasn't that much competition from my friends because not that many people actually applied there from Arcadia. But everybody applied to the UC. So that was it felt like kind of a status quo for everyone. So that was still competitive, kind of like the same competitiveness that we had already experienced all these years. It just transferred to everyone who was applying to the UCs. I think I have an interesting story about my liberal arts application experience, though. For the most part, it is not that competitive to apply from a Southern California school there. It's no guarantee that you'll be accepted, but there won't be people in your same grade, not as many people in your same grade that are also applying. But I did apply early decision to one of my liberal arts colleges. And my friend, I realized this after I submitted the application, but my friend also applied early decision. And so the thing is, if you come from Southern California, they will most likely only take one student from your school. And so my friend got the school, and that's good for him. But like, just know for specifically Southern California, these liberal arts schools are extremely selective, even for early decision. And oftentimes they will only take one or two from your school, even if it's only, say, 10 people applying total to that school, rather than like 50 people applying to a UC. So that's something to note when applying through my specific perspectives.
All right, awesome. And yeah, I guess Abby, you can go ahead and say your experience.
Mm-hmm. So I go to like a college prep type school, and so a lot of it is actually focused on private schools rather than private universities over public universities. And so I felt like the competition was kind of a big deal just because a lot of the people around me were applying to the same exact schools as me. Especially my friends, like most of my friends applied to a lot of the similar schools. Our college list had a lot of overlap. And so that competition was like kind of hard to deal with. It's just like, there's kind of like some things that you can't really talk about with your friends and stuff like that. So it's hard to find a support system when like everyone around you is kind of your competition, I guess. But definitely like it does like hurt your self-worth sometimes, but like it's definitely important to remember that like college isn't your self-worth, and that it doesn't, like, the entire college process is just like a coin toss. So I feel like the competition is important, but it shouldn't be like the front of your mind all the time.
All right, awesome. And I guess Rukan, if you want to go ahead and explain your perspective on this.
Yeah, Arcadia is very competitive, and that's a school where most of us go to, or most of us in the call here. So yeah, it's really competitive, and I've been thinking about how to answer this question, because I feel like a lot of our answers will be the same. I feel like for the most part, a lot of Arcadia kids do have very similar colleges on their list, because we're a very high achieving school and we produce a lot of really great academic scholars. But the college process can be very brutal because everyone is so academically strong, and any college would be more than lucky to have an Arcadia kid on their campus. And yeah, it can be really tough, but I think you need to find like that support group. For me, I had some really great friends by my side when we were going through it, David being one of them. I relied on him so much. So yeah, I think just surround yourself with people you know will make you feel safe. For me, that was like my family and a select group of really close friends.
All right, awesome. And so Riley actually had to take off. He had some quick emergency to take care of. But for those of you watching, I will actually do a follow-up video with him just so we can get his perspective on it too. And it'll be attached, kind of linked with this video as well too. So yeah. Anyways, since Riley's not here anymore, I guess we're going straight to David. David, yeah, go ahead and just explain, your whole experience, with this idea of competition.
Okay, so competition. I also went to Arcadia, and there was a lot of competition. I definitely felt like some topics were kind of taboo on campus, where like during that time you wouldn't even talk about what colleges you're applying to and things like that. But I think I made a conscious decision myself in high school to just like pursue extracurriculars that I really liked and just try to find out what my passions are, and just kind of find out who I am. And I think that really took the pressure off of me to like try to do some extracurriculars that maybe I wasn't super interested in, but would help me like propel me to get into a better school. But yeah, competition is pretty brutal on campus. But at the end of the day, you have to kind of like put that out of your mind and think that college admissions is really just a crapshoot, and you really have to connect with the admissions officer on the other end. So it's really difficult, but just know that college isn't everything. Doesn't attach anything to your self-worth, and yeah.
All right, awesome. All right, so second to last question, and this is one that's going to wrap up the college application process. So looking back at your time, it is pretty recent. It's like probably less than a semester ago. But looking back at the entire college application process, what was probably your biggest regret, or if you could go back and change something, what would that be, and why specifically that? So Nick, go ahead with that one.
I struggled a bit with time management. I think everyone does, but for me specifically, I was also up during winter break, furiously typing like the 2 nights before, just trying to get everything done. But I think one of the things that did contribute to my procrastination on my essays and everything was I did kind of take a heavy course load senior year. This is something I would not recommend for you guys in the future. I would recommend taking a relatively manageable course load. Still try and challenge yourself decently, but basically how I felt was that even though junior year was really tough because it's always known as the toughest year in high school, senior year first semester was like junior year compressed. Both semesters of junior year compressed into one semester because I had so many things to worry about. I had to worry about my classes and my extracurriculars and the essays. So my best recommendation is not to take a heavy course load senior year first semester.
All right, awesome. Abby, I guess your opinion on this as well too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel the same way, that like time management was kind of an issue. I do wish like I'd started some of my essays earlier, especially my personal statement, because that's like the most important one. And then also, I wish I trusted myself a little bit more because I felt like I second guessed myself a lot, especially with my essays. And like at points, I might have been like maybe too influenced by other people's like edits and revisions of my essays. And so I kind of wish, yeah, just like trusting myself. That was a big one.
All right, awesome. Rukan, I guess for your story.
I think I wish I would have accounted for the unexpected. Again, I don't think I didn't really know that I would end up being on the court, and I didn't find that out until like early October, I think. And I think I was taking a pretty heavy course load at the beginning of the year, similar to Nick, but I ended up dropping one of the harder courses, and that happened to work out in my favor in the end with everything going on. I think just account for the unexpected. This applies not only to time management, but also to like what you're writing about. For my personal statement, I thought I was going to write about one thing, but I ended up writing about a completely different thing because I was just a lot more passionate about it, and it just fit my narrative better. So, yeah.
Yeah, all right. No, I think that's definitely a good point to make. And then, David, I guess if you looking back on it, what was your take on it?
For sure. Time management was also a big thing for me. I'm not the best at time managing, so I had a lot of essays that were kind of typed last minute. But I'd say my biggest regret is not like having many people or like a few people read my essays over. My personal statement was actually kind of weird. It's like about underwear, and like kind of on the flip side of what Abby said, I think I trusted myself a little too much, and I trusted the college process a little too much, and where like I think maybe if I had someone tell me maybe how to get my point across a little better, maybe that would have fared a little better for me, maybe gotten me into some other schools. But yeah, that's the biggest regret I had.
Let me that essay. I want to read that. So I think it's really no, but I mean, yeah, obviously you can obviously take creative liberty and approaches into your essays. I think that's a good point you're making. It's just, it's not something that we see as conventional or standard that many people write about. And like Rukan said, your ideas for your essays will change over time. Even if you did get started early in the summer, all of a sudden something happens. And you're like, oh, I want to talk about this instead, and you flip a whole 360, and you're like, okay, I got to write about something else now. But yeah, I mean, definitely I think it's good reflection. Obviously time management seems to be a common theme among all of you guys. I have to agree with you on there too. Definitely for me, I wouldn't say I was taking the heaviest course load, but I had a lot of extracurriculars to balance with. I was, doing marching band and stuff like that as well. So I had a lot to work with alongside, school and college apps. So, I think it's good to help, even if you're already going to be an incoming senior or a student who isn't a senior yet, at least you have a better understanding of how to prepare yourself, when you get to that time point. And I guess just to wrap up the entire video, this is my final question for all of you guys. If you could give any advice to current high school students, whether that be about the college application process or just life advice in general, what would that be? Like if students were to just skip to this part of the video, what would you want them to hear? So Nick, go ahead.
My best advice is, my best advice is to really take time for yourself to be actively aware of your mental health. My mental health was not the greatest in high school. Junior year, I did not get a lot of sleep. Neither did I senior year. Sleep is really, really important, and you will feel so much better. And even though it may seem like the sacrifice is worth it for like staying up to study, if you manage your time correctly, you can study well and sleep. And my best advice is to really, really pay attention to your mental health and sleep.
Yeah, and I just so I don't forget, just to follow up on Nick's thing. Yeah, mental health is huge. College applications, it's not just the applications that I think put a burden on your mental health. You have a lot of factors that play a role into it. And like Rukan mentioned, unexpected incidents may happen that will probably even detriment your mental health. So take the time to take care of yourself. College is important, but it's not everything. So yeah, good point, Nick. Abby, I guess, yeah, your turn for your advice.
I feel like it's really important to like just develop a good support system, because a lot of times in the college process it can feel like you're alone, but you shouldn't be, and find other people to help you. And kind of like building on that, also make sure you spend time with your friends and family, because it's the last year you might be at home if you're going away or whatever. And so it's just like the college process can like make you feel like that's all you can do, but you should like still take time to like spend time with people that you care about, because like if anyone knows what it's like to take your senior year for granted, it's probably us. And like all of it being cut short. So like I wish I'd spent more time with my friends like right before. So
Yeah, and no, I definitely agree with you on that. You know, the COVID situation is definitely one that's unexpected, and you know, we've been talking about unexpected situations coming up. You know, I would say second semester senior year was something that a lot of people look forward to. You know, having that time to have senioritis and just enjoy your time. You know, it's your last moment in high school. I arguably, people say it's the last moment you can really have true fun with, like, you know, really no constraints on you guys. And it was kind of cut short for you guys, but yeah, definitely taking advantage of those times. But you know, you guys in the future, going into college or wherever it may be, will be able to still make those great memories in the future. So I have no problem with any of you guys having to get into that. Rukan, your advice.
I would say to involve yourself in things that you are truly passionate about. And I know David talked about this a little bit ago, but I was involved in an extracurricular that was pretty time consuming. And I had a lot of adults and upperclassmen telling me, maybe you should think about not doing that. Christian knows what I'm talking about, but I just love the activity so much that I wanted to stay an extra year than I was expected to, and also take courses that you are truly interested in. I didn't really take the craziest course load, I think, at Arcadia, but colleges just want to see what you're passionate about, and that's all that really matters, I think.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, I've known Rukan in speech and debate, and talking about passion, definitely Rukan is one that I think definitely symbolizes that, especially in speech and debate. Your speeches were definitely reflective of, you know, like you mentioned, those passion. If you're really passionate about it, you're going to succeed in those extracurricular activities. Colleges will know which ones you're doing just for show and which ones you're doing because you actually enjoy it. And yeah, Rukan, I think that's a great point you made. It's especially something that I know you've taken to heart. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that. And then, yeah, finally, David, I guess, you know, your advice on everything.
Okay, kind of riding that wave with Rukan and what you said. Definitely involve yourself in things that you enjoy. I know that passions it's kind of like a weird word, like, oh, I don't even know what my passions are, but passions do change. And my best advice is for you to chase that passion wherever it may take you, because after all, these 4 years in high school are going to be like the good old days, and you're going to want to remember that you spent high school like with your friends, doing things that you enjoy instead of worrying all the time about college and the future. I mean, you have the whole rest of your life to like work and things like that. So take this time to really enjoy yourself and chase your passions wherever they may take you.
Yeah, and for sure, I think that's a great thing to mention too, because you know, a lot of students, they struggle with understanding what they're going to study in college. They don't know what their interests truly are. But I think, yeah, passion doesn't have to just be like the academic mindset. I think, you know, for me, I was in a lot of very humanities based programs like speech and debate, mock trial, stuff like that. And you know, I'm a STEM major right now. I haven't really done major STEM things in high school, and I think that's fine because, you know, maybe your interest will change. You know, I've always had this underlying passion for science, but you know, I wanted to participate in these other programs because I enjoyed them. So yeah, I think it's important to mention that doing what you're passionate or interested in doesn't always have to mean that, oh, when you go into college, that's what you have to do or that's what you have to pursue. You know, like everyone's mentioned here, enjoy your time in high school. Like David and, you know, Abby mentioned, don't take it for granted. You know, enjoy it because it's like kind of the good old days that we reminiscent on in the future. But yeah, I mean, so other than that, obviously, I just want to close this by saying, first and foremost, thank you for all of you guys for showing up. And, you know, I know we had a few hiccups. Riley, he's not here, but we'll cover him again in the future. But yeah, obviously, you know, thank you guys for coming out and spending the time to talk with us. I think it's really great that you guys, you know, are willing to share your stories. And I know things didn't go out the way it planned for you guys. I know this situation is a little bit, you know, it's weird. It's weird for all of us, you know, not just me, but especially for you guys. I can't even imagine what it's like to have to miss out on prom or graduation, certain activities like that. But I would say that, you know, you guys are still going to do great things in the future. And I just want to also mention that anything that these people mentioned, I wouldn't say is reflective, you know, of the whole college application society. Keep in mind that we all come from different communities, different backgrounds. So these are just the perspectives of these students that I've gotten to know through my high school or through my area. Obviously, in the future, I plan on talking to other kids from different areas. So this is just one certain perspective, I guess. And you know, I mean, that's the whole project, what we're called here. So we're just trying to find different perspectives from everyone. But yeah, other than that, you know, obviously, thank you guys so much, and to everyone watching this video, I hope that you guys take a lot of information from it.